Black Hearts in Battersea by Joan Aiken, Chapter 16. 4 days later, on Christmas Eve, the great rose-colored balloon was drifting over the wooded heights of Hampstead. Sophie, paying little attention to the snow-covered landscape as it passed slowly by beneath, was busily engaged with making a court dress for the Duchess to wear at the mince-pie ceremony. She sat in a whirlpool of apricot-colored velvet, which she was embroidering with topazes. Sometimes the Duke raised his head from the chessboard to say with a chuckle, "Bless me, Sophie, my dear, it's fortunate that I built the car as big as I did. Any smaller, and with all that stuff of yours, some of the passengers would have to hang over the side." In fact, the wicker galleon-shaped car, with its high-decked ends and low waist, was excellently adapted to their needs. Dr. Field and the Duke played chess at the forecastle end. Simon steered on the poop, directing the balloon's progress, when necessary, by means of a pair of dangling ropes, while Sophie, with her dressmaking, and the Duchess, with her patience, occupied the central position. One night, when all the others were sleeping snug under furs and sheepskin rugs, Simon had told Sophie the whole sad story of Dido's end, and his own grief and remorse that he had not been awake to stop her from trying to swim to shore. "For I am sure that is what happened, and I should have saved her, Sophie." "You must not think that in that way, Simon, dear, for it is wrong," Sophie said, affectionately clasping his hands. "You could do no more than you did. Mrs. Buckle has told me how ill you were, and, do you know, somehow I cannot be sure that Dido is drowned. Somehow I believe that she is not." "Why, Sophie, what else could have happened?" "Oh, I do not know. Perhaps a ship could have rescued her. I feel in my bones that we shall hear of her again. So do not grieve too much. You did all you could for her, and were a deal kinder to her, I am sure, than any of her miserable family." This talk with Sophie cheered Simon a great deal. It was decided that when they reached London, Simon should instantly repair to Chelsea Barracks to enlist the help of the yeomanry against the conspirators, while Dr. Field escorted the Duke and Duchess to Battersea Castle. "For Buckle will scarcely try any of his villainy so long as he remains uncertain of Justin's whereabouts," he pointed out. Justin had been offered a ride to London in the balloon, but had refused with horror. A sea voyage was quite bad enough, he declared. He was to remain at Loose Chippings with his mother, who would only come to London if it was needful to give evidence against her infamous husband. "I will tell Dr. Furneaux and the students that we are back also," Simon suggested. "They are all good fellows who enjoy a fight, and being so close to the castle, they will be handy in case of trouble." "You could arm them," Sophie observed, biting off a thread. She had completed the Duchess's gown and was now finishing one for herself, white tissue with gold ribbons. "If Uncle William has a spare key to the castle vaults on him, they could let themselves in and take some of the Hanoverians' pick-clobbers." This sensible plan won instant approval, and the spare key was handed to Simon. The travellers were fortunate in the timing of their arrival over London. Snow had been falling all day, but toward dusk the clouds dispersed, drawing away westward in great, high-piled crimson masses, across which the balloon drifted south, inconspicuous against such a flaming background. "We shall be able to take Buckle by surprise," Dr. Field said with satisfaction. "Good heavens," he added, looking down at the snow-covered city of London sprawling beneath them, pink in the sunset glow. "Wolves in Hyde Park already, before Christmas. I fear it is going to be a hard winter. Best prime your pistols, Simon. If they have reached Hyde Park, they may have reached Battersea Park. You may have to dash for it." Soon they saw the Thames, a shining ribbon of ice that curled its way between Chelsea and Lambeth. "There's Chelsea Hospital," Sophie said. "Dear me, I had best reduce the pressure." The Duke gave a tug to the string which released the air valve. Some air escaped, and the balloon's silken globe sank, crinkling and quivering, until they were barely above the rooftops. "Oh, William, pray take care." "I know what I am about, my dear," his Grace said testily. In fact, the Duke had misjudged his landing a little, but this turned out to be just as well, for he had proposed to alight in Battersea Park, which was full of wolves. Instead, the balloon came to rest in Mr. Cobb's yard, where the proprietor was alone, greasing the runners of a high-perch phaeton sleigh. "Well, "Oh, be drawed sideways," he exclaimed, "if that ain't the neatest rig I ever did see. Simon, my boy, well, I am pleased to see you. We'd given you up for lost, indeed we had, though the wolves must have got you, and his Grace, and her Grace, and little Miss Sophie. Floss! Floss! He bawled up the stairs. Here's our boy Simon, back safe and stout, with all the castle gentry. It'll be a proud day when your Graces sets foot in my yard." He helped the Duke and Duchess down, while Mrs. Cobb and Libby, with the kitten in her arms, came marvelling out to gaze at the great rose-coloured bubble that had settled on their front steps. Thank ye, Cobb, my man," the Duke said. "We should be greatly obliged if you could let us have a conveyance to take to the castle." "Why, your Grace can have this here phaeton sleigh. It's as sweet a little goer as ever slid, and I've a beautiful pair of matched greys. Won't take but a moment to put them to. But that balloon, dang me if it don't beat cockfighting, that do. I'll soon be in a new line of business if sich things gets to be all the crack." He fetched a pair of horses and harnessed them to the sleigh, while Dr. Field helped the Duke and Duchess to their high-perched seats. "Mr. Cobb," asked Sophie, climbing up behind them, "did the Bow Street runners find anything when they raided Rose Alley?" "Nay, lass, the birds had flown. Someone must have perched, for never a soul was there, not so much as a grain of gunpowder. There, your Grace, that's all right and tight. Watch for the wolves in the park, sir. They be fair audacious. But these horses can show them a clean pair of heels. Is this gentleman a-going to drive?" He handed the reins to Dr. Field. "Much obliged, Cobb. Thank ye. Now can you do us one more kindness? Can you ride like the wind to Bow Street and ask them to send some brisk, stout officers to the castle? We are expecting trouble, and His Majesty may arrive at any moment." "Dear me, yes," the Duke said, inspecting his timepiece. "We must hasten. I hope Buckle has everything in readiness. It was unfortunate that we were blown off course for 2 days. However, I dare say all will be well. Buckle is such a capable fellow in his way. Simon, my dear boy, we shall hope to see you at the castle directly. You have informed Dr. Furneaux and the yeomanry." With a creak and a jingle, the sleigh sped away. Mr. Cobb offered Simon a horse, or his own donkey, but he said that he could go faster on foot. He raced down to the academy, where, most fortunately, Dr. Furneaux was outside, superintending a snow fight between a dozen of his students on the frozen river, while the rest of them sat on the bank, attempting with numb fingers to sketch the scene. Dr. Furneaux let out a cry of joy at the sight of Simon, which to anybody who did not know him would have sounded more like a roar of fury. "Ah, scelerat coquin, miserable, merchant girls, d'espèce! How do you dare show your face after being absent so many days and giving your poor old teacher so much worry? I will bastinado you. I will escalope you. I will use your head for a doorknob." He hugged Simon and shook him with equal ferocity. "It's not my fault, sir, I promise you," Simon exclaimed, half laughing and half choking as he tried to escape from these signs of affection. "I have had such adventures, and, sir, I found Dr. Field. He is back in London. He will come to see you very soon, but I